Hello, everyone, and welcome to MMA Chitchat. And honestly, I don't like the way that sounds. I miss UFC Chitchat. Had a nicer ring to it. But if you guys are regulars here, I know what you're thinking. Jackson looks a little different. And
A
no,
little
no, no,
bit.
we didn't trade one white boy for another white boy. If you guys have been following the TikTok channel, this is Joey. He's the newest member on MMA Chitchat now. Joey, you want to give a brief introduction?
Yeah, how's it going, guys? If you've seen TikTok recently, I've been posting a little bit of breaking news, a little bit of fun news. Hopefully, you guys get to see me a little bit more often. We're going to hopefully be doing this a little bit more often and doing a little bit of card reviews and talk about the card a little bit every week. So hopefully, you guys will tune in and hopefully, we don't let you guys down.
That's the goal. Yeah, we're going to pivot from strictly interviews with the fighters to adding some more content onto the scene. So I think how we're going to start this off is we're going to go into a few prelim fights that we like or we want to go more in depth about and then go to the main card. So, Joey, you want to start with your prelim pick?
Yeah, sure. Like I was talking to you guys before, I think this is the fight. One of the fights I'm most excited about on this entire card is on the prelims, and it's Loner Kavanagh versus Felipe dos Santos. I think this fight has major fight of the night potential. Both guys are really exciting. Both guys are real high caliber young fighters. I think Loner Kavanagh is 25 and Felipe dos Santos is 24. So both guys, I think that you're going to see a lot of fights for in the UFC. They're kind of in opposite positions right now. Felipe dos Santos has had a couple of fights in the UFC, couple of losses recently. He lost to Andre Lima, who had a win last week, a big one again. And I think he had maybe a split decision loss against Manel Kape. Both really good fighters, both top 15 fighters. I think that in this fight, it's going to be he's going to have to be really motivated because Loner Kavanagh, big knockout in the Contender Series, and he had a little bit of an iffy decision win in his last fight, but I think if he wants to break into that top 15 and show he's got momentum in this flyweight division, he's got to get a win against Felipe dos Santos here. But if I'm a betting man, I was telling you guys earlier, I think Felipe dos Santos is a really good underdog for some of you guys to bet on.
Yeah, even his spread is probably going to be plus money just because
Yeah, I
such a
don't think
big dog.
anybody's getting finished in this fight because I think both guys are really tough, but I think this is definitely a fight where they're gonna be slinging gloves and it's gonna be a tight decision.
Do you think Dos Santos gets cut if he loses this fight?
I don't think so. I think he's got good enough wins against guys like Victor Altamirano and some other guys. I think he's safe, but I don't think he can take many more of these losses. I think being 24 is definitely in his favor.
For sure. It has like one of those matchups. Whenever you look at their ages, it kind of looks like one of those matchups that we could revisit whenever there's a title picture,
Definitely.
sometime in the future. Yeah.
I think these are two guys that you might see in the rankings in like 2 years.
For sure. Yeah. Giving Manel Kape a fight. Oh, you go first.
Go on.
Giving Manel Kape a fight like that at that age, just insane. Especially with
I think it might have been short notice too. I think it literally might have been short notice. I think that's why he got that fight. Like, because it was kind of a weird fight that they put together.
Yeah, I remember that actually. Yeah, like some opponent fell through. Felipe dos Santos came in and then gave him like a banger fight. Oh, what were you saying, Chia? I'm sorry, I cut you off.
I was saying, I thought, I'm looking at Dos Santos' record now. I thought he was on a 2-fight skid, but he's actually 1-1 in the UFC, so.
Yeah,
I don't know where I got my information from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not betting on this fight, but as a pick, I think I'd give it to Kavanagh. I think he's just better on the feet.
And it's in his homeland, so that definitely helps.
Judges.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he didn't have the greatest showing against Ochoa, but we can't let one fight determine his whole career.
And do you think you're taking that, Chia? Do you think you're taking Kavanagh?
No, not as a bet.
Okay.
No. I think the odds are too skewed.
Yeah.
At this point, minus 300 for a guy that barely won his last fight. I'm never taking that. If you like Joey was saying, if I'm taking anything, it's going to be the round prop.
For sure.
What are you taking, Monkey?
I think either the over, or I might even take a chance on the dog. But
Yeah.
yeah, definitely not Kavanaugh money line, just because I don't think the value's there. I like him as a fighter, but just not the value.
The prelim I wanted to focus on was Martin Tybura versus Mick Parkin. And this is a prelim fight I wanted to highlight because I feel a dog bargain here. And I know Mick Parkin started out as a dog when the odds first came out, but now surprisingly, Tybura is a plus 110 dog. And I'm going to be honest, most of the times when I'm picking these dogs, I'm not picking a fighter that I think, wow, he's amazing. He's going to get it done. I'm picking the fighter who I don't think is the most talented, who's going up in competition too fast in a short period of time. And I think the greatest thing McParkin has done was train with Tom Aspinall. The man throws his hand in slow motion. I know I've said that before, but I'm serious. Even the commentators commentating his fight will always bring up how Mick Parkin is throwing slow. He's not moving his head as much, and that gives Martin Tybura the opportunity to throw something big. You want me to bet on Mick Parkin? I hear a lot of guys saying bet on Mick Parkin, Mick Parkin. He's good value. But this the Mick Parkin that went life and death versus Muhammad Usman. Are you really putting your money on this guy? I know Tybura's chin is not the best, being 39 years old now, but McParkin doesn't have knockout power. People are bringing up stats like, oh, he has 6 knockouts in his 10 fights. Have you guys seen his knockouts? They're not one-punch knockouts. He's not knocking someone's lights out. They're usually combinations where the guy gets TKO'd. It's not one-punch power. And this goes back to my undefeated theory on TikTok, where I said an undefeated fighter has lost or 0 in every card this year except one. The 2 this week are Mick Parkin and Kavanaugh, and I don't think it's going to be Kavanaugh. I think Mick is joining this trend. I think Tybura has faced a better level of competition, and it's going to be a vet beaten down on a newcomer. My lock of the week is Tybura at plus 110 odds. What do you guys think?
That's honestly, I'm surprised you kept track of that stat of the cards thing. That caught me off. I was like, whoa.
Yes, it's still a thing. It's the last 2 cards that happened. I think last week it was 2 people. It was Musasa.
Oh yeah.
And then the Venezuelan lady lost.
Yeah. Blanking on her name, but yeah.
Yeah, it started with a D. That's all I remember. And then Josh Van beat the Japanese guy.
Yep.
So.
Raid to Syria, yep.
Yeah.
You know, I like my whole thing with this fight is the reason this fight wasn't as on my radar as the flyweight fight is because you never know what Marcin Tybura you're going to get, I feel like. Like sometimes he's going to slob on you and he's going to be on top of you in full mount for like the entirety of 3 rounds or throw elbows and finish you. Or he's going to look terrible and fold up and get chinned. Like it's just like a weird kind of, you know, dichotomy with Marcin Tybura. And with Mick Parkin, I'm with you. He doesn't finish guys. He's got good leg kicks and like I think he can throw some good straight punches, but I've never really seen him like hit somebody with a hook and have him dazed. You know, like a lot of these heavyweight guys like Waldo, like you saw Waldo Cortez Acosta last week. It's like he's out there for blood where he's slinging monster shots at you to connect one. And that's how most heavyweights are, whereas Mick Parkin's kind of a guy who's going to leg kick you and hit you with the 1-2. My whole thing with Mick Parkin is I've never trusted him since Tom Aspinall said like that he wasn't really worried about him coming up on the scene. So like I feel like there's going to be a couple losses in there. Like I feel like there's going to be I don't think it's going to be a smooth like going to the top 5 for him. I feel like he's going to get a tough fight and he's going to lose. It's just a matter of who, and this could be his who.
Yeah, I mean, he's fighting Tybura is ranked 8, I think, if I remember correctly seeing this.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know, man. He fought his last 2 fights have been not the best fighters. It's, like I said, Muhammad Usman, and then, I don't remember the guy's name. It was so close.
Yeah, it was like a 2-round or 2 out of 3 round fight. Yeah.
And then it was a guy who was, I don't know, I forgot his name, but his record was like 9-6. And I'm like, what is this guy even doing?
Yeah, like I think it was like Lucas Bresky or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that guy.
What do you think, Monkey?
Yeah. I'm with you
I'm
on that
thinking,
one. I think it's a dangerous fight for him. It's just like whether Tybura is going to actually look good or not.
Yeah.
I'm wondering the same thing, like whether is Mick Parkin going to be able to do like stuff all the takedowns? Because I feel like that's where Marcin Tybura is going to win this fight mainly, like just you know completely dominating and like having control of the fight. And I think once he loses control, it's going to get dangerous. And maybe he can like start losing, just falling behind. And so I'm with you on Tybura, and I don't think that Mick Parkin has the craziest threat for him, especially considering like Tiberia's has been fighting higher level competition in my opinion as well. Like how you guys said the Muhammad Usman and the Lucas
Brzeski.
Brzeski, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
not the same kind of guys as like I mean I guess you could say the same kind of because the heavyweights aren't really that great, but like Jonathan Denise, Sergey Spivak, Tom Aspinall, these are better names by far, and
Yeah.
he's produced a win against Jonathan Denise. He didn't win against Spivak or Aspinall. He got finished early, but still, like, I don't think Mick Parkin is the same type of guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys want to
Yeah, I
get
think we're
into
kind of all in
the?
agreement on this.
I like that. It's making me feel a little more
Yeah.
confident. You guys want to get into the main card?
Let's do
Yeah,
it.
let's get into it.
Oh,
Wait,
actually, I have my-
MKV's got to get his in.
Oh, you have one?
yeah, I have
Oh.
my prelim pick. So for my prelim pick, I'm gonna be going into Jai Herbert versus Chris Taco Padilla. I forgot to say Jai
Yeah.
Herbert's nickname, but Black Country Banger. And for this one, I'm looking at trajectory of careers a lot because ultimately Jai Herbert's, on the latter end, he's fought a lot of people. He's been in the UFC for a while. He has a lot of mileage. Chris Padilla, he's just now coming onto the scene. He's 30 years old. He's like, or 29 years old. He's in his prime. And I think that his timing looked awesome. Is one of the things that I've been like super high on is how well he was timing all of his strikes in his last fight against Rong
Yeah,
Zhu.
his elbows too.
Yeah, like every time Rong Zhu stepped in, I feel like he had an answer and like he just put everything together so perfectly. And I'm really high on his striking. I don't think Jai Herbert will, be able to fight a clean fight for all 3 rounds. And I think at some point, Chris Padilla is going to be able to land something and just completely, kind of have a momentum switch where everything starts going his way. What do you guys think?
I'm curious to see Padilla's takedown defense. I don't think it's been tested. I know Jai Herbert's not like the biggest wrestler, but he is known to mix it up when he has to.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see that. I haven't watched his earlier fights, Chris Padilla, but if I'm going strictly off nickname, the Black Country Banger or Taco, I think I have to go with Jai Herbert.
Okay, that's fair.
I think if anybody's going to be shooting takedowns, it's going to be Chris Padilla in this fight because I think Jai Herbert has the length, and I don't think if he gets in trouble, he's going to be the guy that's going to dive. We've seen him get smoked chinless, like on multiple occasions. I don't think, and he never dove for a takedown when in those situations. So I don't think we're ever going to see him in trouble where he's going to be diving.
Yeah.
I love Jai Herbert, and I kind of love him in this fight. I know it's going to be kind of heartbreaking for me if he loses because he either loses like by amazing finish or like he wins by moderate decision or KO. So I like him because he's like he honestly. He's a lengthier guy. He has a lot more to lose in this fight. Chris Padilla, he's kind of young in the UFC. He's got his wins already. He can afford to get a loss and still make his way up the rankings, especially to a tough Jai Herbert. That's a terrible stylistic matchup for him. I think the power is going to be definitely a difference. I don't think that. I mean, Rongju has some power, but I don't think that Chris Padilla has really felt like strong 155, big, like a big guy at 155, like Jai Herbert is. He's 6'1", 77-inch reach. He's a big guy. So I think that, Jai Herbert's, he can box with the best of them, and I think that that's what you're going to see. I think that's what you're going to see on Saturday, honestly.
I like that take. That reach advantage is there. Like it's what is it,
Mhm.
like 3 inches, and I think he's like what I
If
think like
Chris Padilla wins this fight, though, he's legit. Like we can
Yeah.
you can give him a Drew Dober or like a fight up the ranks like that, like where it's gonna really have to test him. That's
This
the
is great.
thing.
Yeah.
So it's
I
gonna
think
be
it's a great
exciting.
test for him too.
Yeah.
another lightweight contender breaking into the ranking. That would be pretty crazy.
There are so many. Joe Alvarez is still the best one, but there are so many. I'm only saying that because I got a signed walkout jersey.
Armin
What'd you say?
Saruki would probably tell you that's not true after what he did to him.
Hey, that was early. That was a little early.
He's learned now. He's learned.
Wait till he gets on a Spain card with Ilya Topuria. It's gonna reignite him. He's gonna go on a crazy run after that. They're gonna give him a crazy ranked fight once he gets on that Spain card.
Who else is Spanish that's come up and coming? Is it just them two?
Well, Barres just got smoked last week by Lima.
Yeah.
He was Spanish. They don't really have a lot of like.
Yeah, they don't have.
Manel Cop's like I think no, he's Portuguese, but I mean,
yeah,
we're around
close
the same
enough.
area.
They can add him in the same card.
Yeah, yeah. He'd be a good ad though. That's a banger of a fight. Pull him against like, I was gonna say Kai Kara France. You can't even do that anymore. Put him against the winner of Urseg versus Moreno. That'd be a good fight.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting. That'd be a contender fight too, probably for a title.
Yeah. It's either that or a title shot for Manel Cop, right? There's no other fights that make sense. Yeah.
The problem with the flyweight division is just Pantoja's beat everybody, so it really depends on whoever Pantoja loses to at this point.
Yeah, or Pantoja has to just move up.
They force him to move up.
I still want the Davison Figueiredo fight, but it'll probably never happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I don't think
maybe if he comes up.
Oh yeah.
That's true. So what do you guys think about this main card?
Should we get on to the first fight in the main card? Nathaniel Wood versus Morgan Charrier.
This one's been causing me trouble. We were talking about this earlier. It's just like it's a tough fight to pick, this one. Like they started you guys out with like literally like as like straight on the button as it is.
What you were saying with Kavanaugh and Dos Santos being fight of the night, I think this is going to be fight of the night. I think.
Really?
I don't see how this is a bad fight. I don't see how this isn't an amazing fight. I see this going into round 3, so it gives the longevity of fight of the night too. Before I get onto the analysis of this fight, I think it's going to be amazing. Charrier, he's 1-1 in the UFC, but his only losses to Chepe, which that's a very hard first fight to have in the UFC. It's aged well. He showed that he could play with the big boys. Wood, very crispy striker. But I think I'm going with Morgan on this fight. I think he's able to... I just like the pressure that he puts in every fight. His defense does concern me a little bit. But I liked his performance in the French UFC Netflix show, The Cage. So I think I'm going to go with Morgan because of that.
Yeah, I've been kind of going back and forth with this one because I like Nathaniel Wood a lot, and obviously this is in his home country, so they're going to be favoring him in this fight. But a 5'5" featherweight is crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy that he can have so much success, and it's because of the leg kicks, obviously. But at some point, there's going to be these bigger featherweights that are going to be terrible to him, and obviously Morgan Charrier really isn't that. But I think I want to go with Nathaniel Wood in this fight just because I think like if he like plays the Pereira to Morgan Charrier's Magomed Ankalaev, like just leg kicks him at distance and eliminates the power of Morgan Charrier. If he can do that for 3 rounds, I think he can win the fight. But the problem is Morgan Charrier has that power that is just different, and it's just like I'm going with Nathaniel Wood, but don't be surprised if Morgan Charrier comes out like a bat out of hell and smokes him.
I'm in the same boat as you guys where Yeah, we talked about this earlier, and like the Chepe fight for me, that's what really did it. Because I had Chepe Mariscal money line on that fight, and I remember literally sweating so badly and just wishing I never bet on Chepe after that. So I do see the problems with Morgan's defense. Like he's kind of like sometimes he just stands in front of his opponent, just like trying to tee off, and he can get
Hands down. Yep.
yeah, hands down, he can get clipped with some big shots. But after what I've seen him deal with like Chepe's pressure and how he's just always in front of him and nothing seems to phase him, I don't want to fade. I can't take anyone against Morgan Charrier until like he's shown me that where his ceiling is, where he can't like progress any, or maybe he gets chinned or something. But he's just such a hard fighter to deal with that it makes me go towards Morgan more.
Yeah. I think I've seen my whole issue with backing Morgan Charrier in this fight is I've seen him lose too much on the regional scene. When you see somebody lose in the regional scene so much, you're like we're gonna talk about Jordan Vucenic, but like you see him lose to guys like that, and you see him lose to other really tough fighters. It's like, is he really is he really all that when it comes to these high level guys? But we're gonna see. We're gonna see.
29 with double digit losses. He hasn't.
That's a very fair point.
You guys want to go to the Vucenic fight? Because I'm excited.
When I saw Vucenic versus Chris Duncan at plus 250 odds, I'm like, what are the odd makers talking about? I'm like, they are forgetting who Chris Leroy Duncan is. I know he lost one fight to RoboCop, and then I did some more research, and I'm like, that's the wrong Chris Duncan. So I felt a little bit dumb there. But all I see in this fight is violence, violence, violence. Two very aggressive styles. I don't think this will go the distance. I don't like the nickname, The Epidemic. I think it's a terrible nickname. It's like what they're doing with the NBA, calling people anomalies and that stuff. But, like I said, this fight won't go the distance, in my opinion. The Epidemic has never lost a fight in the distance. Where Chris, both his losses come in the side distance. 1 KO, 1 submission. I'm leaning on Jordan's durability here. I think he's going to eat the tough shots and be able to rock him right back. That is my pick, Jordan, for this fight.
Yeah, I'm a big Jordan Vucenic guy. I obviously, seeing him on the regional scene, you see the talent. And I want to say that his first fight was at featherweight, I believe. Or maybe he did have his first fight at lightweight, but he was fighting at featherweight at one point. I think that he's just a really strong wrestler who gets a lot of subs, and he's gotten submissions against guys who are better than Chris Duncan. And I think that he's going to out-wrestle him. And he fought Guram Kudulas, or I'm not going to say the last name. It's just going to brutalize myself. But
I've been going first names recently.
Yeah, but tough, borderline top 15 fighter, and his debut on short notice. I think you give Vucenic a training camp against Chris Duncan, and I don't think that it sees the third round. I think that he's going to get a sub inside the distance. I think it's going to be an easy money fight for him.
What are you thinking, MK?
I'm on the same boat as Joey here. I really think that Chris Duncan, I don't think he's ever faced someone who has submission grappling on the level of Vucenic. And whenever he does, like we saw like some Manuel Torres, I'm not sure how good he is with the submissions. I feel like we haven't seen him enough in the UFC for me to make a judgment call on it. Against like at least like the newer guys, but he got a submission on him, and I usually know Manuel Torres to be like a KO guy. So whenever I watch Vucenic fight, he's always like extremely pressure heavy in the grappling sense. And I think that he's going to be taking, Chris Duncan's back, trying to hunt subs for the entire like first 2 rounds. I think third round is where it's like, is he going to gas out, that kind of thing. But I genuinely think that Vucenic is going to be able to take his back, maybe find a rear naked choke or something in this fight.
Vucenic round 2 or round 3 sub, that's probably plus 1,000, plus 2,000 right there.
crazy take. Honestly, if you could hit Vucinic sub in round prop,
You can. DraftKings, you
I mean,
can.
yeah, for sure. But I just don't know. I don't know what round it happens in. I don't know which one to
I think
take.
second. I think it's going to take him
I
around.
think
I think
second.
he's going to brutalize him in the first. I think he's going to get a lot of top control and maybe try and
Yeah.
get the back. He'll have the back at the end of the first, and I think that he'll be able to sink something in by the second.
I like that. I like that idea. I can visualize that. I can see it happening.
I see a lot of subs on this card. There's a lot of there's a lot of opportunities for submissions on this card.
Yeah, agreed.
Next fight, Molly McCann versus Alexa Thurn. I don't know how to pronounce her last name, to be honest. Any of you want to take a shot?
Thainara?
Thainara.
Like
Sure, we'll go with Thainara. Honestly, I think Molly Meatball is ass. I haven't done any research on Alexa Thainara. I just can't trust Molly. I'm going with Alexa. You guys can give your take now. I just think Molly Meatball's so fucking ass cheeks.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've seen a lot of submissions on the regional scene for this girl that she's fighting. It's definitely a do or die for her. Or for Molly McCann. I obviously think that she's probably in the rear view of her career here, but I'm gonna go with the fresh blood because we need it, especially in women's fighting. We need some fresh blood in the rankings. So let's get a girl on a win streak and let's push her up. But obviously Molly McCann's got she's got hands, so we'll see if she can withstand those hands, and she's a real UFC test for this girl.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I wish and I really do hope that Alexia wins so that we see some new prospects, especially in the women's strawweight division. It's not often that we see like a huge surging prospect, I feel like, in any of the women's divisions. So I would love to see that, but I think Molly McCann is like deeply embedded into the UFC marketing machine, and like I can't see. I think UFC gave a good matchup that she can win in London in front of her fans, type of deal, But yeah, that's my take. I genuinely think Molly's going to win this fight. I think that she's the better fighter, but I do hope to see some new fresh blood. I don't know much about Alexia.
Yeah, and I was in the same boat as Jim. Like, I'm not watching Alexia highlights right now at 2 a.m. Molly Meatball, man, she let me down so many times. I can't touch her. Talking about another fighter that's let me down so many times. We're talking Kevin Holland versus Gunnar Nelson.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
What I was saying is,
you're just like shut completely down for some reason.
what I was saying is, I can't trust Molly Meatball. She's disappointed me too many times in the past. Talking about another fighter that's disappointed me in the past, we're going with Kevin Holland versus Gunnar Nelson. Monkey, you want to give your first take on it?
Yep. So for this fight, Gunnar Nelson, I've seen highlights of him, but I haven't watched a ton of his fights. I feel like he's not very active, and this fight against Kevin Holland, it feels like almost a shot in the dark for me, because Kevin Holland, I never know what he's going to do whenever he gets out there. Like against Wonder Boy, he does a no takedown gentleman's agreement, like MVP. I feel like he's emoting with MVP in there, and I'm just like screaming at my TV. So I never want to go with Holland, but also with Nelson, I haven't seen enough activity from him. I know he's a solid fighter, but I think I'm going to have to go with Kevin Holland just based on activity, but I wouldn't bet him.
Yeah, I think Gunnar Nelson's coming back from knee injury. Correct me if I'm wrong. If someone knows that. But I know he's definitely coming back from an injury. So
yeah, it's been 2 years.
Fight all of last year. Yeah. My thoughts on this fight is, I'm going to be honest, I think I've missed my last 6 bets with Kevin Holland in it. Whether I'm picking for him, I'm picking against him, I'm picking over rounds, I'm picking under rounds. Everything just misses. I do favor Kevin slightly in this fight. I think he's, like I said, Kevin, we don't know what we're getting from him. I think he's smart enough not to go to the ground with Gunnar, because that's where Gunnar is clearly better than Kevin Holland. Gunnar does have that karate stance, but he's faced MVP and Wonder Boy. I think he knows how to fight a guy with karate right now. That being said, Kevin Holland did say, when I was training for MVP, I did not fight a karate guy. I was just fighting how I was training how I normally train. So there's too many buts for me to like any of these fighters right now. Even with Kevin Holland's takedown defense being so ass, Gunnar doesn't really have the best takedown. He's more of a BJJ guy when it comes to the ground. I think Kevin should be the faster, longer, and more powerful fighter on the feet. But I'm not betting this fight because I've lost my last 6 with Kevin Holland. And if you've heard my analysis in that fight, it's a lot of I thinks and I hopes, and you can't really bet with I thinks and I hopes. What do you got, Joey?
Yeah, I'm changing my. I had an original thought going into this, thinking that Gunnar Nelson was going to go in there and kind of be like what Reiner de Ritter kind of was. But I'm like going back and trying to consider whether I think Kevin Holland is better at welterweight and middleweight or middleweight. I don't really know. I haven't really decided amongst myself where he fits. But I think I'm riding with Kevin Holland on this just because of the layoff of Gunnar Nelson. I think it's just a weird layoff for him. And it's not like he was a guy, I mean, he was top 15 at one point in his career, but when at the time of his injury he wasn't top 15, he was kind of like on the outside of the division. And I think that kind of brings me to less of me thinking him as a Reiner de Ritter and me thinking him more as like a Mikhail Oleksiejczuk. You know what I mean? And we saw what happened in that fight with Kevin Holland. I think Kevin Holland, because of his comfortability in the ring, I think that's going to be a massive advantage, especially with somebody coming back from a 2-year layoff. And I think that's going to be the biggest thing here for Kevin Holland. You have an opportunity to get a win and save yourself here. Because if you lose this fight, it's not looking good for you. You're going to be fighting the Brian Barberenas of the division. You're not going to be getting good big money fights. So he's got to go in there and he's got to win this fight. And I think him, being the more active guy, I think it's going to be really beneficial to him in this fight.
I think there's a certain age too. At a certain point, you start looking at every injury and going is he going to come back from this and be the same fighter? Is he going to come back from this and is it going to be, is there going to be a part of his game that he doesn't even use anymore or something like that? What do we even know about Gunnar Nelson?
Gunnar Nelson's a McGregor guy too.
Yeah,
oh, really?
Exactly.
Yeah, he fights with that's a McGregor camp guy. So it's they haven't been having the best track record in the UFC. Gunnar Nelson's honestly, other than Conor, one of the better fighters to come out of that camp. So it's I don't know. Really? I don't know. I don't think that 2 years off is crazy. Especially for a guy that was never active in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but going a little more in depth on the Kevin Holland side, we have to consider this. Kevin Holland lost to JDM. That's 1. He lost to MVP. That's 2. He lost to Roman Dolidze. That's 3. He lost to RDR. That's 4. I think he lost to Stephen Thompson between that. That's 5. And his fight against Michael Olazet, Michael, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, it's a little bit of a tongue twister. Kevin Holland got rocked that fight. He got dropped, and then he got a last-second armbar. And I'm going what's happening with Kevin Holland? Does he even want to be in the octagon anymore? And then the Roman Dolidze fight happened, and you're wondering to yourself, does he want to be in that octagon anymore? And then that RDR fight happened, and he's on the podcast with Rampage Jackson, and he's saying, I don't really give a fuck anymore. So how much does Kevin Holland want to get this win? I think he wants to get the money a little more, but that's why I can't touch him.
I think it's just in him. Though. Don't you think it's just in him? Just to be a fighter. In him. I think it's a Bobby Green kind of thing. I know Bobby Green's not the best, person to say right now with the track record that he has, but it's at Bobby Green, when Bobby Green was Kevin Holland's age, Bobby Green was going in there and still competing after, some tough losses. And it's and I think he's got that mindset where it's not, he's going out there it's his job. You know what I mean? It's not he thinks of this as a 9 to 5 almost, Like,
Yeah.
sometimes everybody hates their 9 to 5, but like they still do it, and like some people are really good at what they do, even though they hate it. So it's like I think Kevin Holland might be one of those guys that's just like it's just so ingrained in him to be a good striker and a good fighter, and like I think that Mikhail Oleksiejczuk sub, like I think it was just based off of pure instinct that he did that. You know what I mean? Like I think like there's just stuff that he does based off of pure instinct, like that Joaquin Buckley knockout, where it's just like I think he just knows what to do in certain situations sometimes.
Without a doubt. Like there's some people who are just born with that instinct and like just born to be a fighter. And Kevin Holland does seem to be like a very natural, like even his body archetype is like kind of made for it, it feels like.
I'd like him to pick a weight class though.
Yeah.
I don't like this like jumping back and forth. It's fun like because you can make money fights, but it's like when you're not even in the rankings or like borderline in the rankings at this point, it's like I'd rather see you pick a division, start getting some wins. I think that's going to be better for him than just like jumping back and forth.
But it's like what you said, Joey. Some people hate their 9 to 5. He's that guy that I'll just do whatever they tell me. Like he doesn't give a fuck. He's gonna go to whatever they tell him. He's probably not even cutting that much weight.
Yeah. But the problem is they're going to start giving him rising contenders instead of like fun fights because he's not
be a gatekeeper.
He's not worth for these fun fights for a lot of these guys. Like if you're a guy who's like borderline on the rankings, why would you want to fight a Kevin Holland who's got like a lot of tools that former top 15 guy? It's like you wouldn't want to fight that guy.
He's younger than I thought too. He's 32.
Yeah.
Still in the prime kind of.
Mm-hmm. That's a tough one though.
Jan. Co-main event: Jan Blachowicz versus Carlos Ulberg. Does anyone want to start this one off?
Joe?
I mean, this is my favorite fight of the card for sure. This is the one I'm most excited about for sure. I'm gonna just say it right off the bat. I love Jan, but I'm going with Ulberg on this card. I think 3 rounds really is an advantage for Ulberg. I don't see Jan like going in there and like stepping on the wrestling immediately. That's my thing. Like I think a lot of these guys like don't think when they go into 3-round fights that they don't have as much time as they do. Like because Jan's been in a lot of 5-round fights, he hasn't fought in a while. Like I don't think his game plan is going to be shoot immediately. I think he's going to take a round, maybe a round and a half before he shoots his first takedown, unless Ulberg is really lighting him up. And I think that that's going to be an advantage for Ulberg because I think he'll have a round and a half in the bag by the time Jan starts thinking, I need to start taking him down and, putting some pressure on it. I think it's going to be a lot like the Pereira fight where, Jan was getting, a lot of good looks, pushing him up against the fence, maybe not being able to get takedowns, but being able to get a lot of pressure. But I think that when it comes down to it, Ulberg's going to be the one dealing the damage. Ulberg's going to be the one striking at distance and getting the better of the exchanges. It's just going to be a tough fight for Jan, especially coming off of such a layoff that he's been on.
I'm going to say this, and this might be a bad take. I don't think Carlos Ulberg is very good. And I wouldn't want to say, I want to say I've been praying for his downfall his last few fights. But I've been betting against him his last few fights, which have hurt my pocket a little bit, but I'm waiting for it to happen. Just through my eye test, I don't think he's very good. And I wouldn't want to say fraud check because losing to a guy that's top 15 is not being a fraud. Losing to a guy who's former champion is not being a fraud. But I'm waiting for him to lose. I'm that hater in the background, in the corner of my room, rubbing my hands together, just waiting for his downfall. And is Jan that guy? If this was Jan Blachowicz from 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago, I don't think it'll be a question. But Jan is 42 years old. At the same time, I'm like, damn, Ulberg is getting a big step up in competition. Jan Blachowicz is a former champion, Polish power, legendary durability, solid grappling, but he's getting older, he's getting slower. And I hate to say it, but Ulberg has KO power. We've seen it versus Alonzo Menifield. We've seen it multiple times where he has one-punch power. Unfortunately, I'm taking Ulberg here. He's younger, up-and-comer. I'm not going to say, like, young. He's younger. He's 35. We're acting like he's this next up-and-coming. He's 35. He's 34. He's old as fuck, too. But I'm hoping this is the one where I jinx myself because I've been going against Ulberg last few fights, so I'm going Ulberg. I'm not betting it.
Okay, that's fair. I don't even know what is the betting line for that. Oh, okay, Olberg is like a minus 200.
Yeah.
Okay, so my take on this fight, it's kind of in line with you guys. Jan, I don't really like the fact that he's on like an almost 2 year layoff here, coming back into the octagon. And I remember I was a big Jan fan. Like before the Magomed fight, I was a huge Jan fan. And then the Magomed fight, obviously, it left a bad taste in everyone's mouth because it was a draw, and you were like, "What is going on now?" And then the Alex Pereira fight, I remember there was like some kind of talk about how Jan was coming back from this shoulder injury and he had surgeries, and I know it was at altitude. I think this was at Salt Lake City, right? The fight against Alex Pereira that he lost split decision.
Yeah, I think it was. I think
Yeah.
you're right.
Yeah, I remember they were punching super sluggish, and I was just like, why do they look like that? And the fact that he's on another 2 year layoff coming into this, like, I'm wondering, like, does he have problems with his body? Like, are his shoulders even good? Like, is he going to be able to perform at the same level that we saw Jan before? And so all those factors combined, and he's up against a city kickboxing prospect, Carlos Olberg. I think Carlos Olberg is going to be in there, utilizing that jab, maintaining distance, just peppering him up from range and fighting a clean fight, just winning on the scorecards.
Some of these guys are 5-round fighters, I think. And Jan's one of those guys. I think if you give Jan 5 rounds in this fight, I think he could take advantage of Olberg. But a 3-round fight just plays right into Olberg's hands. Because I really don't think Jan's going to be shooting all that much. And exactly. I can't count out Olberg after, the Volkan Ozdemir performance. That's a tough fight. That he's a guy who's a gatekeeper to the top 10. Like, if you beat him, you're in the top 10. And you're looking for a contender fight, So, and I think if Olberg wins this fight, he's gonna get a title shot. Like, he doesn't have anything else to prove, and it's a very good position. I mean, unless you want to throw him in against Jiri, which I'd love it for sure. Give it to him. But, I mean, I just think this is like such an interesting fight because I think that it's going to be so tough for Jan to have to adjust to 3 rounds because he's had so many 5-round fights in the past. I don't know. A lot of Jan's wins also don't age like terribly well. Like
Agreed.
Like he beat Rakic because like Rakic slipped on a banana peel and sliced his ACL in half.
Oh yeah.
Like Dominic Reyes, that when Dominic Reyes after that performance went on like a 5-fight losing streak.
It's looking a little better now. This is looking a little better now.
But it's just, but I think that a lot of Jan's wins don't look terribly favorably. I mean, I know he had that draw with Ankalaev, but I mean even that fight people were kind of dogging on him for it. So I think this is a fight that 42 years old. You had a really good career, but I think this is going to show that these. I mean, obviously you said Olberg's kind of old too, but he's got a reason to like be there now.
Yeah.
He's got a reason to try and fight for the title. He only has 1 loss in the UFC.
MK, I know you were saying Olberg's minus 200 is actually minus 300 now.
Wow.
So Jan for plus 240 odds.
Yeah, that's
I don't see it being that bad.
Yeah.
Or probably a Jan spread play, you probably get it for plus 140.
I think it's going to be a 29-28 fight. So I mean, if you think there's going to be a robbery, or you think that Jan's going to get the takedowns before or start the takedowns early in the second round, then I think that he might get that win.
And one more thing, like Jan, I'm always interested when Jan gets in the octagon because he does those like those kicks that him and Tony do, like the shin to shin, and it's always like you always see the other fighter react to it in some way, like they're like kind of like. You see them kind of like adjust their leg a little bit or something during the fight, and they show like the discomfort. And I'm interested to see how that affects Olberg, whether he's just going to be fine. Because ultimately, like Joey said, like Jan is an old 5-round fighter, and I think if this was 5 rounds, like I think those leg kicks would accrue. I think Jan is just tough as nails, and it's a tough fight to deal with. His cardio doesn't really go away much either. He's just always pressing. So yeah.
But it's interesting you say that, though, about the leg kicks, because Olberg does have a similar style, obviously, to his city kickboxing buddy, Izzy there. And we saw how that fight went. And, I think, the leg kicks against Pereira with Izzy was a big factor, and I think we haven't really seen Olberg have to defend the takedown and the leg kicks. Jan's a pretty different creature to go in there with, where he's just an actual beast. So it's like, this is going to be a real test for Olberg.
Agreed.
Last but not least, we have the main event, Leon Edwards versus Sean Brady. People have also been calling this main event Bilal's Children. I know this highly anticipated fight in the welterweight division. I believe people are maybe saying title implications. I believe the winner of this fight gets Ian Gary, and the winner of that fight for the title, because Bilal will probably get Shavkat next if he wins. If he beats JDM, if he loses to JDM, it's a whole different card and picture. And the main thing I was looking at is, besides Burns, who has Brady really beat? Michael Chiesa, not that good. He beat a washed Kevin Gastelum. I know Bilal's striking is underrated. I like Bilal's striking. It's definitely underrated. But Bilal didn't even respect Sean Brady's striking. Bilal went for 0 takedowns that fight and still pieced him up on the feet. That's crazy to me. I know Sean is utilizing more of a wrestling approach against Burns, as we've seen last fight. I know he's kind of switching it back up. I know he's a wrestler in the past, but he was primarily a striker early on in his career. He wasn't really going for that many takedowns, but I think he went 17 takedowns against Gilbert Burns. That being said, I'm giving the win to Leon. Leon has a 70% takedown accuracy, takedown defense, cleaner, more technical striker, great distance control. He's fought better competition, and call me gullible, Joey or MK, but I'm going to believe Leon when he said the weird timing of the fight made him a little sleepy. He did look a little lethargic. He did look a little tired. I was tired watching that fight. So let me know what you guys think.
I'm 100% with you with that. I actually it's scary that I agree with you guys on a lot of we're all like kind of agreeing with the fight card, because we're gonna like really let some people down if we're all wrong.
We're really gonna lose.
But I'm 100% with you on the Leon train. I'm fully aboard. Sean Brady doesn't like. Everybody was hyping up the Gilbert Burns performance, and I love Gilbert Burns, but I think that there's a lot of welterweights that can beat Gilbert Burns right now. And I like and ranked and some not ranked. Like I think welterweight's one of those divisions, and there's a couple other divisions like this where there's some guys in there that are just vets that probably could lose to a lot of unranked guys. And unfortunately, I think Gilbert's at that point in his career, especially since he's like I think 40 now. I'm not super. I've never really been super high on Sean Brady since he got knocked out TKO'd by Bilal. I just can't get on board with it if you get TKO by Bilal. If you get finished by Bilal in general, I feel like that is just like a sign that there's something wrong with you. There's something that shouldn't like put you in the top 5 if you've been beaten by Bilal. If you've been finished by Bilal. Like you like even Gilbert Burns, when they fought in their fight, Gilbert Burns like had his shoulder hanging off of his body, and Bilal was just like jabbing him to death. Like didn't do anything the whole fight. I went to that card live, and I was so mad because I was like, Gilbert like literally was dying the whole fight, and Bilal was just doing nothing about it. And it's just frustrating to me that like Sean's getting this opportunity right now, because I think that like that Gilbert Burns fight really gave him like a lot of credit, which I don't think it should have. I think he still should be fighting down in the division and getting like a prove-it fight. Because I'm with you. I don't think that he has those fights that like really prove that he is a top 5 fighter. And Leon, I'm with you. It's scary that I just keep saying I'm with you with this, but it's the change in time is insane. Like they were literally fighting at like 4 a.m. Like it is weird, and Leon's not used to that. Whereas Bilal, who's coming from America, he doesn't have to adjust. He can just go like kind of keep on his regular sleep schedule. It might be weird because he might be sleeping during the day sometimes, but it's like he can kind of keep that regular training schedule that he had. Whereas Leon has to be the one that totally adjusts. And I think that this fight, I think it's going to be proving time for Leon that he's still there, that he can still compete with the best of them. Because if he doesn't, you're going to be seeing him fight like Wonder Boy or MVP, and I don't want to see that yet. I want to see
That'd
him
be a good fight.
Yeah, I mean, those would be awesome fights, but I don't want to see it yet. I want to see him still compete at the top of the division. I want to see an Ian Gary fight, number one, for sure. I'm with you on that, but I think that he could fight for the title after this because the Bilal fight was 3-2, so it's like I think that he deserves it. I think that they're pushing him down because he's not a very exciting champion, but I like watching Leon fight.
I know we agree on this fight, Joey, but I do want a caveat here. I also think Leon is ass too. I know we may not agree there. I'm starting to think. I think a lot of fighters are ass all of a sudden.
No, I like.
I don't like Leon.
I think there's definitely a lot of tough fights in the division for him because the welterweight is very top heavy and it's very scary at the top. Like Shavkat, Jack, like they're all scary fight strikers that could give.
I think JDM is ass too. Another bad take, maybe.
Yeah, that's what's going on with you? All right, maybe I don't agree. How about to switch my take because I'm
J. It could be because I had when JDM was fighting Kevin Holland. I had a $10 bet to win $12K, and the only fight that lost was JDM against Kevin Holland, and it was a split decision. And maybe it still hurts me a little bit to this day, but no, I can never forgive JDM for that.
Honestly, for me on this fight, Leon, just so you guys know that we're not just agreeing with each other and just changing our picks. I
each other off.
Yeah, I love Leon. Generally, like I was one of those weird fans who got the pound for pound headshot dead T-shirts whenever they came out. Whenever he knocked out Usman, I was like so in love with Leon because that was such a crazy that moment. Like
we were saying headshot dead in a British accent for weeks.
Pound for pound. But yeah, that was honestly. That moment changed my I think it made me more passionate about UFC. It drove my love for UFC more, and just the fact that I witnessed it live on the television, it was surreal. And like you guys said, I think Sean Brady, he has a very easy schedule, and honestly, it's very lucky that he has been just getting, climbing up. Doesn't have to defend his rank at all. Just constantly gets higher trajectory fights. And Leon Edwards is a tough battle for him. I think he's going to be struggling to close distance. Leon's body kicks are nasty. I think we're going to see a Leon Edwards resurgence in this one.
Bro got TKO'd by Bilal. That's all I think about. It's so disappointing that Gilbert lost to him because he got TKO'd by Bilal. It's I don't know. I can never take him seriously in a fight against Leon. If Leon Edwards. And I'm not even the biggest Leon Edwards fan, but if you get TKO'd by Bilal, that's just we see Bilal strikes. I mean,
he can beat Canelo in a boxing match.
We've seen the tape.
That's all I'm saying.
We've seen the tape. It's looking brutal for him. It's just and the thing with Leon is I never really was a big Leon guy because of he wasn't really fighting a lot for a while. He was riding on that 10, 12 fight win streak for a while. And he himself didn't have the greatest, opponents that he was fighting when he was coming up the ranks in that 12 fight win streak. He was fighting Old Man Cerrone. I forgot who. I think if I'm not mistaken, I think he beat Gunnar Nelson coming up. That was one of his big fights that boosted him in the ranks.
I remember.
But I think that with Leon, he's had such a stretch of stiff competition with Colby, Kamaru, all of that back to back, and then Bilal. It's that competition, pressure makes diamonds, and I think that that's something. I think he's just going to be on his A game, especially losing the title in Britain last time. It's he needs to come back and just flatline Sean Brady. He's probably thinking in his mind right now. He's Bilal knocked this guy out. Are you telling me I can't knock this guy out? He's been saying that in his training camp all week. He's got he's out for blood for sure.
Yeah.
That'd be hilarious. And I want a Bilal apology when he outboxes JDM when they fight.
I'm gonna have to give a Bilal apology if Sean Brady goes in there and outboxes Leon. If that happens, I'm gonna have to literally be on my hands and knees, praying for Bilal to have mercy.
Yo,
do you still have the headshot dead shirt, MK?
I actually, this is such a stupid move by me, but I gave it to my ex, and I never got it back. So I don't have it anymore.
Yeah,
I
that's
was gonna
tough.
get it signed one day too. I was like, I'm gonna bring it to an event. I'm gonna get it signed by Leon himself. Yeah, bro. Not anymore.
You can always get another one.
True,
I
that's
hope
true.
Leon wins this fight, though. Cause I mean, as far as an MVP or Wonder Boy fight would be, I do want to see him get back to the top of the division. Like seeing him being able to fight guys like Shavkat and Jack Della Maddalena would be so exciting.
Yeah, his style is just so clean that it's like it's very satisfying to watch him strike. I feel like I feel like he puts everything on the money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But then again, did get wobbled by Nate Diaz. So
True.
So
True.
we can't pretend like Leon has like the and like the
Invincible.
law was backing him up. Like Sean Brady does have like kind of a weird similar.
Bilal outstrike Leon. Bilal outstrike Leon there.
And Sean Brady kind of has like a similar style too. It's like where they both
Yeah,
like
ugly boxing.
They don't really throw good punches. They just kind of like they're like always on their like front foot and they're just like kind of throwing like ones and twos. You know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's kind of a weird. It's definitely a weird matchup for Leon, but it's going to prepare him for another title fight with Bilal for sure.
Yeah, I want to see something better off the back foot from Leon in this one for sure.
100%. I want to see him. I want to see him not like be held up against the fence in this fight. It's
yeah,
the same.
exactly.
When you let's. I think of this fight like if Sean O'Malley was training for a Marab fight again. It's like that's what like he needs to do what Sean O'Malley needs to do getting off the fence. Like they both need to do the same thing because they're both like fighting those guys who are just gonna try and dump you on your head like for the entire 5 rounds, and they're gonna put pressure on you for the entire 5 rounds and throw a million punches. It's like you need to be able to like cut around the octagon and be able to like avoid getting put up against the fence by these guys because that's where they have the advantage.
Facts.
And we're gonna get another one with Anthony Hernandez coming up the rankings.
Yeah.
We're gonna have three cardio wrestlers.
Yeah. Well, Anthony Hernandez, after that Brandon Allen fight, I don't think he's being champion now. I think we're stretching. I think we're going a little crazy now.
Dude, he looked good
against Brendan Allen. They looked very sloppy. I thought that like I was when I was like I don't know about either of these.
Really? Guys. I thought Hernandez looked pretty decent, especially later on.
Oh yeah, like he would get control and stuff.
But Brendan Allen's fight IQ is fucking.
That was what I was gonna say. How much do you value Brendan Allen as like a top 15 middleweight right now?
I value Michel Pereira. I like him. I think he's entertaining.
I mean, I guess for the guy couldn't even.
You see my takes. JDM is ass. Yeah, I like Michel Pereira.
Yeah, like I don't know. I just like I think if like who are like here's the thing. Anthony Hernandez is gonna have to fight like a Robert Whittaker next. Like you think that he's beating Robert Whittaker? Like they're not going to give him like a guy down in the division after beating Brendan Allen because Brendan Allen was like ahead of him. I think ahead of him in the ranks. But, like I think Anthony Hernandez is probably like 8-7 now, 7 or 8 now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like he's gonna get a Robert Whittaker soon or like a Jared Cannonier, and it's like if you fight like you did in the Brendan Allen fight against Jared Cannonier, like you're getting your chin knocked off your body.
True.
Yeah, he's 8. Jared's 7. I don't think they'd give him Izzy. It's not it's not a money fight. Yeah, it might have to be Jared or Robert.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I matched up in my one video, Jared, with Roman Dolidze for a UFC Apex event. I was giving Dana a little sprinkle there. I was like, here's your Apex main event, brother. You always want him. Here's one.
Honestly, Dolidze versus Anthony Hernandez. They're 9 and 8.
You guys want to talk about last week's fight? Like, because I don't know if we really went into too big a depth into it.
I didn't watch many of them. I was busy.
Well, I was just saying the main event, Marvin versus Roman.
You guys can go into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Joey, you want to go first?
Yeah, I mean, I said a lot in my video, but I wasn't like super impressed with either of them. But I thought that Roman definitely deserved to fight up the ranks. Like he's with an Anthony Smith win, he's got a couple ranked wins now. I think the Jared Cannonier fight makes sense. I don't want to see him fight a guy like Cow or a guy who's, deserves a lot of hype, because I don't want, a boring Roman Dolidze fight to ruin a hype train. So I'm really looking for that Jared Cannonier UFC Apex main event. I think that's the fight to make,
But I feel bad for Jared Cannonier. Like, is he ever going to move up? Is he ever going to get another title shot? We're just feeding him up and comers.
But at this point, we're giving him a headliner of a main event a headliner of a UFC Apex card is, it's giving him a little breach. He's probably happy making that money. And are we really expecting him to make a title shot? I mean, he's lost to what, 3-4 guys ahead of him in the rankings?
That's true.
I think that he's probably, kind of understanding the position he's in. But after that fight with Gregory Rodriguez, a main event, he probably made pretty good money. He's like, they give me another main event, I'm going to be making this, pretty good money right now.
You're actually so right with that, because I remember you guys remember when Jared Cannonier was saying in his post-fight interviews, like, I have no money, I'm broke.
Yeah.
So just give me, like, I think he's one of those guys who will gladly just gatekeep and do Apex main events, collect fat paychecks, and, check people. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what his purse is, but it's definitely more than like $200K per fight. Especially if he's had main events in his past like 3 fights. So it's like, I think he's definitely making a pretty penny.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you think about Marvin, MK? What do you think about that?
Oh, that fight was just okay.
Well,
so
what do you just think about Marvin in general? Like, what do you want him to do next?
I don't think, like, I remember there was like, was there a rumor that he was going to retire? Did he actually say that, or was that a rumor?
The rumor I heard was a rematch.
Okay.
I heard he wants the trilogy for sure, but I don't think that they're going to make it.
Dolidze was open to it too, but yeah,
that would be.
I heard some kind of rumor or something that he was considering retirement in like the near future or something, but I think it might have been just a complete rumor. But either way, in that fight, like, maybe it was because of the injury that he was coming back from. It looked a little bit like a flat version of Marvin, and also that fight wasn't a great display. Also, I feel like the eye pokes kind of like messed up the cadence of it, and I really hate what they're like, how they're not able to figure out that problem. But ultimately, what's next for Marvin in the division? Like, I would say he has to fight like a young up and comer, like somebody who's like, about like trying to prove themselves in the division. I don't know where the UFC middleweight rankings are at.
Kopylov?
Kopylov. Is he in the rankings right
now? Kopylov is 15 now.
Oh, he's 15. Okay. I see.
I would say Michel Pereira because I like him, but he's already booked with Abus.
My thing is, number one, if we have to see, that'd be a fun fight. But they already fought, and Marvin kind of beat his ass.
Yeah.
But
that's true.
The one thing I was thinking is, if we have to watch another 5-round like Apex main event where it's Marvin Vettori versus versus Roman Dolidze, I'd be so mad. I would be so mad.
Yeah,
if they booked that fight again, I would actually be mad. Like, I would be like, David, what are you doing? Like, we would like. Does anyone want to see that fight again? Both fights were not exciting. It's like, why do we keep booking this? But I think like, we've seen Marvin getting physical altercations with Brendan Allen in the past. I think that's a good matchup for him.
Oh, the casino fight.
Heat there, you can put him on a main card, and even if the fight's not exciting, because it probably won't be, neither of their styles are very exciting, I think the press conference will still, get you some views, and it'll be hype for everybody. So I think that's the fight to make, even though I hate it, because in this position, normally I would tend to say, like, Marvin, fight a contender. You're not in the place where you can be fighting ranked guys right now. But it is a fight that could spice up some stuff for the UFC if they want to put it on a main event of a pay-per-view.
Agreed. And also, like you were saying, like your point for the Brandon Allen fight, I think that also Paulo Costa could make some good like pre-fight drama as well. Like, just because they did it in the first time, like, maybe if they rehash it, maybe it'll be like exciting build up, and who knows, maybe Paulo Costa, actually, I don't know if Paulo Costa is going to look any different, because I feel like whenever he fights these higher level guys, yeah.
Yeah,
don't
I
know.
mean, like Paulo Costa and Marvin Vettori are like the same, where they just like do the same thing every fight, and it's like I feel like
Yeah.
there's a lot of middleweights that do that, where it's like Sean Strickland too. It's like
Oh yeah.
going into the fight, what's going to happen? He's going to jab, front
Yeah.
kick, and just like throw twos. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like there's no like mixture. Like a lot
Oh
of
my
these
God, a
middleweights do
lot
that.
of them.
Yeah.
Hamzat Chimaev,
Yeah, what's he gonna do?
Anthony
Like,
Hernandez.
yeah. Yeah, there is a lot. Even
Yes.
honestly, Robert Whitaker. Like, what is Robert Whitaker going to do? He's going to throw high kicks,
Blitz.
throw
Blitz.
uppercuts, blitz the entire time.
Yeah.
TDP, he blitzes the entire time. We know that that's what he's going to do coming into a fight.
Well, is Imavov the savior? No. Oh,
Well, this division.
Kaio.
I mean, I'm
Kaio
a big
mixes
fighting
up
nerds
pretty
guy,
well.
but
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know. I'm not 100% sold on Kyle yet. I think Imavov has a lot more proven than Kyle does right now.
Oh, yeah.
I hate to say it because I'm a big fighting nerds guy, but like Imavov looks really good right now. His stock is
Yeah.
high.
He can do a little bit of everything, and he's good.
Yeah, his stock is real
really
high
good.
right now.
Yeah.
And like for the UFC, in this UFC's perspective, they're like, oh, I don't have to pay this guy a lot of money. Cool. Like, because he's definitely not asking for a bag when he's taking like co-main events with Brendan Allen in France. Like, you know, like he does not care.
True.
Like,
Yeah, Imavov's, like you say, he's French too, and they want to build up that French market.
yep.
So
Yeah, Dana definitely wants that. But I mean, you also are
well, he's
asking
French.
him to get past
He's
Cosmo,
French.
too. And you're also asking him to get
Yeah.
past Cosmo too. So it's like,
Yeah.
it's like, what are
Yeah.
we doing here? He's got some tough. It's very top heavy in the middleweight. Middleweight's very, very top heavy right now.
Mhm.
There's like no unranked middleweights and like 10 to 15 middleweights that are like very scary right now.
Exciting. Yeah.
Hey, Bo Nickel, if he beats RDR,
Yeah, I actually like RDR, so I think he's.
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
he's
RDR
gonna be a
wins
tough
that.
fight.
he seems like a
There's,
cool
there's a
guy.
guy in the rankings that's tough.
Well,
Okay, I don't have much
Yeah.
more on this upcoming fight card or the last one since I actually didn't see it. And we're on an hour and 7 minutes now.
Yeah, I was gonna say we've been grinding for a while on this.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, I'll cut that part out and we'll just go to answer. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Hopefully, we'll see you guys next week, and we'll have one more in here as well.
All right.
Peace, y'all.
we miss you, Jackson.